Hi, welcome to Surviving Motherhood. So this morning, in fact, just a few minutes ago, I was sitting here on this couch having my quiet time today. It's quiet in the house. That's a treasure. And I was reading John chapter 2. And that's the story when Jesus turned the water into wine. And that's a great story in itself. But it was actually the last two verses in John chapter 2 that really struck me this morning. I'm going to read them for you. Starting John 2, verse 24, it says, "But Jesus would not entrust himself to them, for he knew all men. He did not need man's testimony about man, for he knew what was in a man." There's those two phrases about what Jesus knows. For he knew all men, and for he knew what was in a man. It was those two phrases that really got me thinking. Because I sat here and I thought, Jesus, you know all about me. He sees everything. He knows everything. I sat here and had some time of confession. And I realized, even as he knows everything about me, he still loves me. That in itself is amazing. But I wonder how often you may have considered that truth, that in spite of your flaws, your failures, your mistakes, regardless of how wonderful you are, how delightful you are, Jesus loves you. And I was thinking about a time when I was with my mentor who lives in Texas now, and that makes me very sad. But anyway, I was with her and we were talking about some struggles that I was having with motherhood. And she asked me a question that I want to ask you today. And that is, when you imagine yourself in the midst of your whatever, your struggle, your fear, your pain, whatever it is, if you can imagine Jesus' face, how does he look to you? How is he looking at you in the middle of your struggle? If you're like me and like some friends I've talked to recently, when you're in the middle of your struggle and your pain and your fears and you imagine Jesus' face, you kind of imagine him having a bit of a disappointed look on his face, like, why are you doing that? You just picture him disappointed, angry, upset, whatever. You fill in the blank. But Jenny encouraged me in that conversation to rethink that, to reevaluate it, and to realize that he looks at me with love. Can you just picture the difference? Rather than Jesus looking at you being disappointed because of who you are and what you've done, can you picture him looking at you with love, with compassion in his eyes and his heart? That's how he looks, you know. There's lots of examples in the Gospels of Jesus looking on people with love, in spite of how wonderful or how terrible they are. And I believe that's how he's looking at you today. So would you just take a moment, close your eyes, and just picture him looking at you? Can you just see his face, the love he has for you? Now, can you just turn off your computer and sit there and soak in his love for you? Thank him. Love him back. Have a wonderful, Jesus-full day.